U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia has just admitted to prosecutorial misconduct in the James Comey case. I'm a lawyer in real life. I don't play one on television. Today is Wednesday, November 19th, and it is approximately 1:53 p.m. I need y'all to stay with me so we can talk about this. In federal court, there are no cameras. There is no audio. So we have to depend on transcripts, which are not immediately available to the public, and the reports of people in the courtroom. So I'm reading an article in the New York Times about what happened in the courtroom. So let's read it together. I'm not going to read it word for word, but let's talk about this, because what they are saying in this article, if it is true, Lindsay Halligan needs to immediately resign. This is really beyond the pale that a U.S. attorney would do this. The hearing today was on a motion to dismiss for vindictive prosecution. The Comey team is alleging that he is only being prosecuted because the president wants him prosecuted and he's an enemy of the president. So let me go to the article. So it starts out saying that in an excruciatingly awkward hearing in the federal district court in Alexandria, Virginia, the judge grilled prosecutors on a range of topics, including Mr. Trump's own statements about wanting Mr. Comey to be indicted, and an earlier decision by career members of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Alexandria to forego bringing charges. In one remarkable moment, the judge posed some of his questions directly to Lindsay Halligan, the U.S. attorney handpicked by Mr. Trump to bring the case, quizzing her on how she had presented it to the grand jury. The judge's inquiries were extraordinary by almost any measure, but the answers prosecutors gave in return were even more so. At one point, Ms. Halligan admitted that she had never shown the second and final version of the Comey indictment to the full grand jury before the foreperson signed the charging document. Mr. Comey's lawyers immediately seized on that irregularity, calling it another reason to dismiss the case entirely. At another point, one of Ms. Halligan's subordinates acknowledged that someone in the Deputy Attorney General's office had instructed him not to discuss whether his predecessors had written a memo laying out their reasons for not bringing charges. In the end, Mr. Lemons, the subordinate, appearing unnerved under questioning, confessed that the prosecutors who had previously handled the case had indeed written a draft of a memo declining prosecution. The judge declined to issue a ruling from the bench on the claims that the case was brought vindictively, but he seemed to be leaning in that direction. Given the other stunning revelations of the day, he could now have more reasons to throw out the charges. The hearing was in many ways a mismatch from the start. The government's team consisted of Ms. Halligan, a former White House aide and personal lawyer to Mr. Trump, who is working on the first criminal case of her career. She was accompanied by Mr. Lemons and another assistant U.S. attorney, Gabriel Diaz, both of whom have experience with criminal proceedings but were brought into the Comey case from a U.S. attorney's office in North Carolina after no one in the Alexandria office would take the job. Speaking for Mr. Comey, by contrast, was Michael R. Dreeben, a former Deputy Solicitor General who has argued more than 100 cases in front of the Supreme Court. Mr. Dreeben all but begged the judge to put an end to what he described as the White House's abuse of the criminal system. This has to stop, he told the judge. This court is the first to confront the issue of whether a message needs to be sent to the executive branch. So now we know Lindsay Halligan lied to the court. She filed a written declaration outlining how the second indictment came about. Based on what we've heard today, what I'm reading, it appears that that was false. James Comey was not validly indicted by a grand jury. The statute of limitations has passed. His indictment should be dismissed, and the Trump administration will not be able to bring these charges against him again. Y'all, this is big. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments.